Hello everyone and welcome to another Pax Day video. My name is Brian if you happen to be new to the channel, but if you're part of this incredible 75,060 of y'all who've hit that subscribe button, who are taking on the challenge to become everyday millionaires and game like nobody else, welcome in and welcome back. We do things a little bit differently around here. We're a little bit weird from time to time with gaming and talk about financials and real life stuff on occasion, but today we're going to be focusing at 100% on the latest development updates for Pax Day. There's so much to cover here, and let's start with the latest announcements and news regarding the character creation. When it comes to this game, when it comes to when is this going to release, we don't have a specific date, but they are starting to tease more access to the alpha, and what you're going to see in this video is alpha gameplay footage that has been provided by the developers. So if you guys are curious, you can always go check the main site for this if you want to just go watch the footage without any of my commentary and any of the questions and details on screen. But I thank you guys if you just choose to stick around here for the information. Now, it starts off with greetings, Paxians, as our dedicated dev team diligently works on refining and debugging the alpha build. Yes, it means that now the answer to alpha when is sooner than before too long. So no real answers there, but I like it. We're excited to offer you a sneak peek at the character creation process. Keep in mind, it's still in the alpha stage and numerous additional options and sliders will gradually be introduced. So take a look and enjoy. And that's going to be some of the footage that you see here at the start of this video as well. I think this is pretty exciting to see. But the vast majority of what we've also seen updates is regarding the combat system, and there's a lot to unpack here. I think this is really where the meat of today's video is going to be. If you guys enjoy these, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We cover RPGs, MMORPGs, a lot of video game topics here, and we occasionally dip into the into the real world, trying to make your life better, and just encouraging you to be the best version of yourself from time to time. But let's focus in on combat, because this is something that's really important to any MMO. Starts off, as many of you have noticed, we have so far intentionally steered clear of discussing the RPG systems and the combat mechanics in great detail. The primary reason for this is that our team was busy taking on other challenges, designing and scaling the world, laying the foundations of the economy with resources, gathering and crafting, and finding our own unique way of offering housing in an MMO context, the foundational parts of the game. And the good news here is that the combat and the RPG systems that have been getting a lot of attention over the last few months, well, it is still going to take some time before all of this makes it into the game, but we now have progressed further enough to share with you guys a clear vision of where we're headed. Even if, as they say, the Dark Lord is in the details, let's talk about how Pax Dei will handle that bedrock of any MMORPG. And this is where it kicks off in real style. A classic MMO foundation. That title alone is very interesting to me. I mean, we could probably make 1,000 discussion videos on what is a classic MMO foundation and can it actually thrive in a modern gaming mentality, but we'll explore that maybe later. Let me know if you want to have that discussion in a future video. But let's begin by summarizing some of the key aspects of the Pax Dei combat system that should appear very familiar. Pax Dei will offer the holy trinity of tank, healer, and various forms of DPS. We also have a hate aggro system for players to manage, health points that will trigger death if that you run out, and you're gonna want to avoid that, and endurance for running, climbing, swimming, chopping, and even, yes, attacking. In short, Pax Dei will feature the most of the usual MMO mechanics, except for the class system. And I like when we see kind of this free-flowing freedom that separates the player from kind of a defined class. That means you can choose to build out your own. And as long as they continue to really kind of hone in on balance over the course of the game, then you can kind of see a shifting meta, because no matter what, people are going to try and run the numbers and figure out what is the best and only choice that players should make. One of the things I always found fun in a lot of that is that when you can challenge the meta and find new ways that are even better than what is the prescribed ideal that people have for it. So And when it comes to a classless system, this means a lot of player, exploration and design and freedom. And it also, I think, means that could also, hold some people back, because if it's not a very clear path to what they are trying to do, the game could end up, kind of punishing them. And it's going to be kind of their character as a player that decides whether they want to stick with that or not. But I'm all for classless systems. I'd love to know your thoughts. They continue to say, craft your own role. Pax Dei is a sandbox because we believe in offering our players maximum freedom in all possible game aspects. Thanks. Yes, this is awesome. It was therefore a very conscious decision to get rid of character classes. In Pax Dei, there is no class to pick. Instead, your character's role derives from the gear that you choose to wear at any given time, and with the players crafting all the items in the game, your individual character progression choices are also very much tied to the establishments of the crafting facilities you've built with your clan and the overall game economy. Now, advanced crafting options will allow you to enhance individual items with unique abilities like spells, weapon techniques, buff and debuff, passive or active, and these will offer various combinations to test and optimize based off the taste and playstyle of the challenges that you aim to overcome. And this tells me this is bring kind of the build, we'll see that instead of class, instead of the player, where we see in modern MMOs, they're bring the player, not the class, or the role in this case, because they want the player to be able to get in without as much investment. This is a game that's going to be about investment, and one of the things that'll be interesting to see is that means, I think, in the short term, it's going to suffer because a lot of players are going to feel uncomfortable. Like, what do you mean I need to log in? And what do you mean I need to level up these skills? But as they achieve these milestones, you end up having a high, like what I call a higher retention rate, a higher connection rate to your game, because you've developed a deeper connection, a more rewarding experience, as opposed to something that's like purely sugar that keeps you hooked for a little while, and eventually you kind of just move on. And that seems to be kind of the standard model where people come and play the game every once a year or every 2 years for the big content drop, and then kind of just take long breaks. There's a strength to that model. We can see that clearly with the success of Final Fantasy XIV. We can see that with Destiny and New World. Those are the games that are seeming to adopt that. Lost Ark and Throne of Liberty on the horizon also seem to be kind of ushering in this kind of seasonal based, midterm content with maybe like a yearly major release update. But it's gonna be interesting to see how Pax Dei fares, because this is something that a lot of people say that they want, but they don't actually show up for. So I'm excited to see them leaning into the sandbox. I'm really excited to see them leaning into the player-driven economy and the freedom that it gives you. I think they were saying everything here. This is really exciting to see, and I hope that we can go hands-on with it pretty soon, and that way I can actually give you some real hands-on impressions. But anyway, they go on to continue. For example, in the tank build, you could involve combining a full plate armor and including the Thunderous Vistage, able to trigger an enemy or increase its aggro, along with the Soothing Choker, a medallion that can cast a lull spell. Always useful to avoid aggroing a full room in one pull. You can also opt for more hybrid combos. The take pictured above could swap their plate legs for leather pants with a heal spell and equip the hypnotic band with a ring with a mesmerizing spell. Alternately, a healer could benefit from the Soothing Choker mentioned above to reduce their aggro when they are on a healing spree. The choice is yours. This immediately makes me start to feel like we're talking about a Final Fantasy IX style system. Final Fantasy IX, you got your abilities from your gear. Now, eventually you equipped them and you could learn them by grinding it out enough. It does sound like some of your skills, whether they're passive or active, are actually ingrained in what you have equipped. And I think this is really kind of interesting to see. That's going to drive your skills, that's going to drive your playstyle, and at the end of the day, I think that's going to make it a much more enjoyable experience and make interesting and really drive people into the economy. Like, are the crafters and gatherers, are they able to infuse gear with these skills? Let's find out. So let's talk about some trade-offs. So why not simply hang around with 3 full sets to be ready for any eventuality? Well, you can't. You would involve making a certain number of trade-offs though. Firstly, advanced gear abilities will also come with skill prerequisites. Anyone can use the Sacred Sword of Phalifanos. I'm dyslexic, I'm butchering words, I apologize. But only a character with enough knowledge on the magic of light can benefit from its bonus against demons. Alternately, some spell effects, including in an item, may scale with the corresponding skill level of your character, making the Divine Heal spell imbued in your robes much more efficient as your Magic of Life skill progresses. Again, without restriction linked to classes, any character can theoretically learn every skill to the highest degree, but in practice, we fully expect some degree of specialization to happen. You'll want to optimize for synergies between the gear you equip and the skills you develop. Secondly, there's a very practical limitation on the space available in your inventory. Of course, since items are not bound to characters, a well-coordinated group of players sharing a pool of common equipment will find ways of balancing efficiently and versatility. However, between armor, weapons, potions, regions, and other items that you will want to gather to build in an optimized combo, being prepared for everything would imply leaving behind a lot of the precious loot that you'll find on your adventures, and you probably don't want that. Regarding the rewards, let's talk about this juicy bit, loot. Again, you can expect classic foundations of shared loot tables for similar mobs and rare items for formidable ones. Other factors, such as your skills, may also influence loot tables, but we don't divulge further specifics, leaving some mysteries for you to uncover. And this makes me think of, kind of the thief in Final Fantasy XI, which would help increase treasure drop rates and gil, so I'm wondering if we're going to see some perks like that. I think that would be really exciting to see in this game. Now, while it's possible to loot magical items from enemies in the current state of the game, Friends and Family Alpha, this is not our long-term plan. Instead, one of the main rewards for PvE will consist of rare resources that are essential to crafting high-level items that cannot be gathered elsewhere in the game. Acquiring the ultimate combat set that you're afterwards going to require the most precious materials, and those will only be found in the most dangerous of places, away from the home valleys, deep in the wilderness. The greatest risks and the rarest loot await in the dungeons. Unlike the most modern MMOs, our dungeons are fully open places where you should expect to encounter other parties, other opportunities for social interaction, up to you to cooperate or compete for rare mobs and their valuable shared loot. Oh man, dude, open world stuff. Oh, I love it. All right, so let's talk about the risks. No encounter is complete without the risk of death and accompanying penalties. When your character meets their demise, all your equipment remains on your corpse. Without resurrection, you'll need to revive or your belongings to retrieve your belongings. In PvP scenarios, though, death carries more even consequences, as enemies or allies could even loot some of your gear. Woo, baby. I think this is going to be controversial for a lot of modern MMO players. I think this is something that's important. I think PvP is important to these kind of games, but you're welcome to disagree. It's not something that necessarily I get to participate in all the time. I just think about it as a holistic view as opposed to like a more single player type of game. But you can let me know what you think about that. Now, while we're not prepared to disclose the whole system, many items will have durability. Generally, higher quality items will possess more significant durability. However, you may come across some recipes for powerful but fragile weapons that can choose to craft or wield, knowing that they will eventually break. So stay tuned as we continue to refine and expand upon these systems in Pax Dei. Talking about weapon breakage and item breakage, is that something that is repairable? Is there a maximum life for these types of gear, which would, if there is, then you see that command, that churn in the economy. Thus, essentially, you want to have that kind of preparation phase so that you have the gear necessary, that you also have backup gear in case your gear breaks, and then you don't find yourself kind of SOL in this case. Anyway, let's finish up this video with kind of the last thoughts they have about PvP. You do not talk about Fight Club. This article is not about PvP. Still, it feels like to say a word about it, the PvP in Pax Dei will always be based on consent. Home valleys in particular will be sacrosanct. Your home can never be damaged by other players, and you can always roam around your village and your surroundings without fear of being ambushed. The only exception we want to implement is the possibility for duels, even in villages. Instead, we want to dedicate specific areas to PvP. We'll call them contested provinces. Contested provinces will contain unique resources that cannot be harvested elsewhere. To be clear, unique does not mean best. Other areas in the game will also feature unique resources. Anyone entering a contested province gets automatically flagged for PvP. A flag can only be removed by leaving the area, and it will be a bit more subtle and complex, but you'll have the rough idea. We have plenty more ideas for the contested provinces and for PvP in general, and we'll definitely want to come back to the whole topic of PvP with more detail. We are confident that the initial setup will provide opportunities for players to have fun encounters, and for the more aggressive members of our community, also allowing them to meaningfully contribute to the social fabric of the game. And that kind of concludes the information that I wanted to share with you guys in today's video. There's going to be so much more upcoming. Now, as they get ready to have an alpha and more, I'll be sure to let you guys know as soon as that information becomes available, since it currently is the friends and family. But hopefully you guys got something good out of this video. And again, if you did, hit that like button, subscribe. And if you guys want to go above and beyond, I've been challenged by my fellow comedians to have an Instagram challenge of growing our Instagram follower base. So I'm trying to shoot for 1,000 by the end of this month. The link is in the top part of the description. If you guys use Instagram and you don't mind dropping a follow over there, that would be huge for me. And I thank you guys for that support. Beyond that ask, though, I wish that you nothing but the best. Hopefully you have a wonderful day. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.